Rolling, rolling, rolling. All right. If you are ready to go, Shirley, Senn, are you ready?
I am ready.
All right. Okay. So, Shirley, it looks like you just froze for the first 2 seconds of our live check-in, but now you're back.
I'll just keep moving.
Good. Just keep moving, Shirley. All right. Hey, everybody. Hey, Mike Lawson here with CU Broadcast. We're doing kind of a live check-in here at the World Credit Union Conference taking place in Boston, Massachusetts this week. And in our virtual studio, since we can't be there live this year, I'm a little bit under the weather and I don't want to spread what I have to all my lovely friends at the conference. So we're staying close to home, but we're going to do this remotely. So this is kind of a plan B. And Shirley Senn from CU Strategic Planning was kind enough to do our first live check-in at the conference. Shirley, how are you? Good to see you.
Doing wonderful. Loving Beantown again. It's been quite a while since I've been here, but it's just it's a wonderful atmosphere. And I think last count they had over 2,500 participants,
Sure.
And I think there's more coming as the CrowdStrike has affected a lot of flights and a lot of people. But they're still getting here. Some people been waiting in airports 3 days just to get here. So,
oh my gosh! Well, that is dedication.
The commitment. Yes, it is. It definitely is.
Okay, so tell me, once you get there, how is it going? So I know it's just kind of starting. Well, actually, you're 3 hours ahead of me, so
yes,
it's probably early afternoon there, your time. So how's it going so far?
It's been going really well. I mean, I started here on Saturday. We went through the Global Women's Leadership Network reception, and we did the Y Cup reception. And, it never ceases to amaze me, the cohesiveness, the collaboration, from all areas and walks of life across the world internationally. Yeah. And that we're all embracing similar situations, similar problems, and similar solutions. Just obviously geographic areas are what, provide the distance between us, so to speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything to this point has just been mesmerizing in some cases, just to really engage in some of the conversations. I thought one of the most poignant things was yesterday at the opening ceremony. They had representatives from the Ukraine.
Yes, very emotional,
to think,
I'm sure.
Right, but to think about in the midst of a war, that we still have the credit union system, the financial cooperative system still surviving. And we have, different entities from the World Council and the World Credit Union Foundation that, continue to make such awesome strides in providing loans to farmers over there to ensure that, they're able to still continue to plant crops and to harvest those and to get them, because, while some of us don't really realize, there's a huge part of the world that takes their fruits, vegetables, grains, things of that from Ukraine. And that's been a lot of the livelihood there, other than coal and some other natural resources. So to see the credit union system pooling together to do that, and then to see the young lady coming down with her flag, and in some cases, getting an ovation. And then to see other countries that I hadn't even heard of, I hate to say hadn't even heard of before, but to see their one or two representatives here, or running into someone from Mongolia. Yeah, I mean, It was awesome. And talking to him, and what resonated there is, my husband and I have supported in the past a young family who just up and moved to Mongolia to serve and work with the Altai people there. And I got the chance to talk to this gentleman, and I was like, one of the things I fell in love with listening to some of these interviews from Mongolia is the throat singing. And of course he could do it. And, it's not just talking about what we do for other people, but what we can do for each other as individuals to just uplift us. And I think when we uplift each other as credit union people, employees, partners, that it just gives that much more dynamic to what we can do for the membership and the communities in which we serve.
Yeah. That's why this conference is one of my favorites of the
Mhm.
year, because I mean it shows you obviously how different we are all over the planet, but how similar we are when it comes to talking credit unions. So, and it's
Yes.
really cool. But people kind of take issues and trends and things like that from a different angle, and that's what really fascinates me about the World Credit Union Conference. So yeah, it's definitely on the hit list for sure to go back each and every year. And I wish I could be there this year. I'm so bummed I wasn't
I
able
know,
to go. So
it's
next
interesting when you've been such a staple at all of these conferences and then somebody's not there, you're like, where are they?
a little
And
weird. A little weird.
you've definitely been asked about because everyone's like, where's CU broadcasts? And I said, yeah, I think he's under the weather, but you
He's at
can go
home in
sign up
bed.
and they'll do live. Yeah.
Yeah, I can do healthy for about 10 or 15 minutes, and then after this, I'm chugging the water and all that type of stuff. But anyway, hey, let's talk about you and what's going on. Where are you located right now? Are you in the exhibit hall, or are you just
I
in
am
the
in the, yes,
lobby?
I'm in the exhibit hall here at the Boston Exhibit and Convention Center. It's probably one of the more quiet places because they've just got so many different workshops going
Yeah.
on in all the other areas. So I was trying to find a place that I could have at least less background noise.
Well, good. Well, we're glad you took time out of your day to chat with us. The
Oh,
topic that you wanted to talk about real quickly here was no credit union left behind, and this is kind of an offshoot or a segue from the Underground Collision gathering at GAC last February. Gosh, seems
yes,
like
February,
yesterday, but
March.
it was February. Yeah. So you wanted to share with us a little bit about your take on that and
Yeah,
where it's headed, because I find this really interesting where we're going with
yeah.
this.
I mean, I think obviously, I think as an industry, we know that our entire network of number of credit unions has been shrinking. Mergers every year, and if you kind of dissect what those mergers look like, most of them are for small credit unions. And
Hmm.
then if you really start to get into the information about why that's happening, a lot of it has to do, I feel, with just the lack of being able to find the right resources, the right succession, for a credit union. And I feel personally, it's just my opinion, that the system needs all of our credit unions. But in particular, these small credit unions still continue today to serve in communities and parts of urban neighborhoods and inner cities that are just become banking deserts without these small credit unions
Yep.
because
Yep.
they're a part of the community. And I think this is the thread of the tapestry that holds the credit unions together, is that the credit union needs to represent the communities they serve. And a
Hmm.
lot of these small credit unions do that. And so while, there's benefit for all the credit unions, it's really important, I think, for these small ones to thrive. And I mean, if you even think about how many are in the pipeline right now to potentially get chartered, I think if we were probably to even ask them, part of the reason those are being chartered is most possibly that they feel like the neighborhoods they're in may not have the services they need. And
Right.
it's important to be able to serve those unique demographics and populations. So, when that charge to action was put into place at the Underground from Juan Fernandez, the CEO at the Louisiana Credit Union League, it really resonated with a lot of people. And I think that like anything, we don't want it to dissipate.
Hmm.
There
Hmm.
there are so many supporters of small credit unions, just like a pat on the back, go, you go, small credit union. We have partners, we have activists, we have, there's just so many different resources out there that in a way support the small credit unions. But I think a lot of times the small credit unions don't know specifically what they may need or not need because they don't know what's out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's been good efforts. ACU last year, CUNA, put together their small credit union blueprint, which, if you look at it, it's a document that goes through, and literally just went into small credit unions and said, what are some of your best practices? And so there's some really good information in there, and unique types of products that, again, may not necessarily resonate with a large credit union that may have
Mhm.
a large community charter, but for a small credit union in a small rural area in Ohio, that they need septic tanks, you know, they're doing those types of loans. And so the information is there. It was brought together. There's good links and so forth. We have we have companies out there that are truly, finding a way to take some of the services and scale them down, not scale the impact, but to scale down what would resonate with a small credit union. But I think that to me, it's almost a call to action of how do we collaborate? How do we collectively put all of that together? And so when I say no credit union left behind, a continuation, I want us to continue to move forward on that call and that charge that was kind of put in front of us in February to really take a look at this through the lens of that small credit union, the communities they're serving, the regional areas. Obviously, we may have 900 credit unions or so under the asset size of 10 million. They're all going to have similar problems, but depending on where they're at, the solutions may be slightly different. And so I feel like, we have a good opportunity to take this and really put some action. And I know, that there are some things coming, and what that looks like, I don't know at this point, but I feel like as we go through and meander through the rest of the summer, I think a lot of that's going to be coming to light this fall. And I think that just having this light a fire under all of us again is important because, we're losing 120, 150 of these small credit unions a year.
Yeah.
And by doing that and only replacing them with 4 or 5 newly chartered a year, we're going to lose that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, it's definitely a hot topic in the industry right now. And a lot of folks are. Is this being talked about at the conference at all, or is this just something
it actually is
on your mind? Yeah, oh, it is.
No, it's obviously with this being in the U.S., there's
a
large contingency of U.S. credit unions here. But with that being said, there's also obviously a good representation of smaller credit unions in other countries. And, for us, the small credit union is, I believe, the definition 250 million or below, give or take. A large credit union in, say, Romania could be $10 million.
Right.
So right. It's all relative, but the common thread is they all have the same problem. Mm-hmm. These are communities that need financial inclusion, that don't have access to accessible lending and other services, transaction services that are needed. And so all of those problems are internationally common based.
Yeah. And
to talk to how some of these are solving them, a lot of them are solving it with technology, obviously.
Yep. And it's great. And it's great too, because I've had these discussions as well, where there's a problem or an issue with domestic credit unions here in the States. And then you'll talk to somebody from, Australia or Africa or Canada or wherever, somewhere around the world, and they go, oh, what a great idea. Why didn't we think of that type of thing? So that's that's the beauty of this conference, is that you get a totally different perspective on a similar problem or a similar issue that you can, hey, let's give that a try, a totally different spin on it. So that's the beauty of this conference.
I think one of the things I've heard was talking to some credit unions, or they call them SACCOs from Kenya. Mm-hmm. And, some of the ideas that have been in there, because it's something that works, are these lending circles. And it's not something that's just for developing countries. I mean, these are things that could be integrated into small communities within credit unions, just depending on what the demographics and the culture, is willing to embrace. But these lending circles are basically, just bringing people together that support each other. They come in, they put their money into the circle, and then it's that circle that decides who gets a loan, how much, and what those features of that loan are. They pay it back, and then someone else. So it's, it's almost like a self-help type of thing. Mm-hmm. And who's to say those same things couldn't work in credit unions here, especially if you're very remote or you're in a neighborhood and, people want to help people. What better way to do that than to group your neighbors together or a similar community? And while that sounds very simplistic, these are things that I think that we need to be more open-minded about. Sometimes simple is better. Mm-hmm. And I think, as it goes back to our small credit unions and not leaving them behind, and again, my opinion, but I think a lot of times they're doing so much and trying to do so much good for their communities that it's not that they've lost who they are as a credit union, but sometimes maybe the why and the purpose. And, we can't be everything to everyone. And helping credit unions, again, to find their identity. A lot of these small credit unions started out as single segs, working at a factory or, some type of plant or employer that, has since closed, and they're struggling to find their place in that community because they've got a bank down the road that's offering every bell and whistle, and their members are coming and saying, well, if you can't offer this, then I've got to go to the bank. I feel like our movement is one that needs to embrace them and help them. And, and it's not that we need to tell them what to do, but we need to support them and uplift them to say, yes, this is what my community needs. Maybe my community needs X and Y, but we don't need Z. And yes, maybe you do go over to the local bank, but here's where community partnerships are so important in these relationships. If you can't provide a certain product or service just because you may not have the infrastructure to do it, these are where your collaborative partners come into play. And there are loan funds out there. There are other credit unions. There are other nonprofits. There are other partners that may be able to complement what you do. If you are a small credit union and maybe you can't offer microbusiness lending, there are partners out there. There are nonprofits that these small credit unions could look at that may be offering this, but in turn, that nonprofit doesn't do consumer lending. And then having that credit union really embrace what they do well and work with that nonprofit and say, you know what, we want to work with you to help our members have the best access to microbusiness lending and technical assistance to support that. We can also support the consumer lending that you may have. They may be funneling people through financial education or financial coaching, needing a credit builder loan, needing a new checking account, whatever that may be. And so these are I think where small credit unions in particular can really shine in their communities.
Agreed. And then talking about this at this particular conference takes that collaboration to a global level, a whole new level that we keep talking about day in and day out.
Yes.
So that's the beauty, again, the beauty of this gathering for sure.
Yeah, the term community development, I know, here in the US, being using the term CDFI or community development financial institution has a certain ring to it, or being a low-income designated credit union has certain things that go with that, or being an MDI. But that terminology, especially of community development, seems to be a real common theme here when you're talking to these credit unions. It's really, how do we help develop our communities to be better users of resources, to be better respective of what's in the community, to uplift those that are in the community. And this is development. This isn't, it isn't just a term for getting a grant or getting a certification. This is a holistic way of life, if you want to put that. That's what brings life to the credit unions, is developing and helping to continue to develop their communities.
So important, especially in this day and age, for sure. So yeah, I'm so glad you're there. You're kind of like my reporter, Carrie. You're probably
I could be. Do you want to tour around?
Yeah, let's do a quick little walk here, and we'll see what's going on there in Boston.
Yeah, sure. So I'm not a very techie person. So if I hit a bump or so, you'll know I tripped over the carpet.
You're all right.
But I mean, I'll just show you here. We've got so many different vendors, and when you go down the rows, it's like tech. But if you look at but if you look at what a lot of them are embracing, they're all-in-one solutions. They're they're selling themselves really as an extension of the credit union or the co-op. And that I love, because there's so much collaboration going on with these partners. They understand that that they can't just be a one-off anymore. They really have to kind of figure out, what those solutions, and it makes it, honestly, I think it makes it easier for small credit unions, that if they can find a company that can integrate several services that they need, and be able to kind of be their extended, if you want to call it, a fractional technology officer. This is where I think we're seeing a lot of changes in the venues of vendors, and being more strategic about who they're selecting. They've got
a very large room there, Shirley.
Oh gosh, this place is huge. They've got the vendors in the middle, and of course all it's surrounded on the sides, so everybody can get their food and yeah, that's important, the food in the bar.
Of course. We all
But
know.
like I said, when this place is full after each session, and listening to the conversations, this isn't just about people going around anymore and getting, a free yo-yo or a free bag. These are really good active conversations. I know there's one vendor, I'm trying to find them here in particular, that their platform with all this emphasis on the EPA's money for the greenhouse gas reduction fund.
Yeah.
They've come here. I'm trying to find them here. They've come, and their platform specifically is to help financial institutions, but specifically credit unions and CDFIs, to optimize the back end, the compliance, the origination. And they've taken the time to develop all of this specifically for the green energy lending platform.
Okay.
And, that's important to a lot of these credit unions all over. But we've got an opportunity here as credit unions, CDFI credit unions in particular, in the U.S. to capitalize, using that funding in our communities to, for example, if we take a look at Los Angeles County or Orange County, how many what we call urban heat islands are in there. And that has a real detrimental impact on low-income communities that are often served by these smaller credit unions or low-income designated credit unions. And so having the ability for some of these CDFIs, in particular emission-based credit unions, to use that money to help low-income communities or underserved communities be able to make their homes more efficient or to build green spaces, so that it keeps some of the heat. And of course, that I've lived in San Diego, you've lived in San Diego, and you definitely can see areas around town that, have the multiple high-rise apartment buildings or have built low-income housing and have completely removed grass, trees, to basically have, concrete gardens. But that can elevate the temperature 10, 15 degrees. And again, it's raising the cost of the electric bills and so many other things that, and again, don't know the exact percentage, but sometimes those types of situations, when we can get homes or apartments more efficient with heating and cooling, can cut their utility costs 25 to 30%. And for someone that is middle upper income, that doesn't seem like a lot, but if you're someone that an extra $40 or $50 a month can make a difference in groceries for a week.
It all adds up. Adds up. Even little by little, and it turns into something pretty big. So good deal.
Yes.
So cool.
So,
oh my gosh, Shirley, this is awesome. Thank you so much for taking us on a stroll around the exhibit hall.
Now I feel like I should have found them before we got on, but I didn't know we would be talking. But at least I can talk and walk at the same time. I used to not be able to multitask so well, but I'm just really impressed with being here. It's been a couple of years since I've been, and when I had this opportunity to kind of engage in conversations here with both international and domestic based CEOs and credit union advocates, we're really all coming back down to that all of us want to see these small credit unions survive, and how important they are to our structure as a network. Because, if we lose our mid-size, we lose our small size, and all we've got less is the large, then it turns it into a whole different dynamic.
Got that right. Right.
And they're all important.
Yep, no doubt. Every single one of them.
Yeah.
All right, Shirley. Well, anything else to add before I let you get back to the conference there? Again, I appreciate your time.
No, I'm going to put a challenge out to all of our credit unions, all of our credit union supporters, our advocates, those of you that are impassioned like me for small credit unions. I don't know what this venue looks like. I don't know what the task would look like, but I would call to action again for all of us to figure out a way to collectively collaborate and help the small credit unions in these areas that they need help in. Succession planning, like in CUA just mentioned, the possibility or the idea of fractional executive employees, sharing employees among multiple credit unions, so that you can get that expertise and not have to pay the salary that comes with that. So there's so many things that we could help scale down, but still have the same kind of impact to make sure that these credit unions survive and thrive in their communities that so desperately need them.
And what better industry to try out something like that, So credit unions
Exactly.
are always so creative and so versatile and so flexible. So yeah, so it's a good thing. All right, Shirley. Well, thank you again for your time. Thank you for reporting live from Boston at the World Credit Union Conference. So cool that you're allowing us to do a little live check-in.
If I ever need another job, I'll look you up.
Would love it. Oh my gosh, you can be my my on-site reporter. This is awesome.
Yes.
So
well,
cool.
thank you so much.
You're welcome,
We appreciate what you do for the industry, Mike, and so many opportunities for people to really engage and express what they do. I think it's so important. So thank you.
You're very welcome. Yeah. And again, thanks again for your time, and thanks again for the walk. This is great.
Bye-bye.
All right, Shirley. Well done.
Bye-bye.
And that is